friends, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about a little brush set. When I say little, I literally mean that these are short little brushes. It's a set from Real Techniques. They say full-size brush heads, but shorter handles. It's the Midnight Delight set. When I saw this on Ulta's website for $18.99, I thought, this is something I'm really interested in. This comes with a bunch of eye brushes. You also have face brushes here. One thing I've realized as I've tested this is I feel like there are some things missing, unfortunately, from this set, but I want to work in everything I can to a full face today so you can see it in action and see if this set maybe is for you or not. But again, full-size brush heads, mini handles. It identifies what every brush is on the back. Some of them I definitely recognize from their full-size regular line. I haven't tried every single one that they have, but they are all identified here. As always, I'll have the product link down below if you want to further analyze that, because I'm sure that info is on Ulta's website. There's 10 pieces here, also including this little lash curler, but you also have a small pouch as well. This is a limited edition set, but again, certain brushes I definitely recognize from their regular line. So what I've already done today, I've got my skincare on, and I've got on this Rimmel Multitasker Primer that I've just kind of been testing for coming up on a couple weeks now. And then we're gonna do foundation. And for foundation, the Expert Face Brush here. This is the 200, shorter handle, but this is a brush that's been around from Real Techniques for a long time. It is pinched slightly at the top of the ferrule, so you are getting a little bit of width, but it's a nice, chunky, kind of dense brush. It would work well for blending in a foundation, maybe blending over some concealer as well. I do own the full-size Expert Face Brush, and I can really compare and see, like, are they the regular size brush heads? And they do feel like the same shape and size and density. You can see those dual tone bristles here on a regular Real Techniques brush. That's just something I guess they chose not to do on this collection, but it still does feel super soft and very dense. One thing I've also said about this Expert Face Brush recently is those who have asked about a lower cost alternative to the Sephora 56, I feel like it is kind of similar. It's a little bit more thick, like as you look at the brush held flat, there's a bit more thickness in an Expert Face Brush, but I still feel like it can do a lot of the same tasks as this one. So that's something to consider as well. This is a big multitasking brush. So I'm getting started with foundation now, and I'm going to use that brush to blend it all in. And I'm also going to drop a little foundation combo on you that I've been enjoying lately. My LA Colors Truly Matte. So I got this from Walmart. It's just LA Colors liquid foundation, long wearing high pigment foundation. They say it actually is very long wearing. I have it in the shade Natural, but I feel like it's a little bit light. So I've been taking a little bit of this Essence Drop of Sunshine bronzing drops and kind of mixing it in. So I take about a full pump, close to a full pump of the LA Colors, and we'll just kind of streak this on. You see what I mean? How, yeah, it seems like it's a little light just as is. Gosh, I didn't quite get a full pump, and I forgot how, yeah, it always seems like a lot. I have a little excess to wipe off. Super affordable foundation here though. And then I'm taking some of the bronzing drops, just squeeze out a little bit, and then I just sort of dab over the face, and it ends up working itself in as I blend in the foundation, because I'm not really just looking to bronze in any key areas with this. As you can see, I'm just looking to give the tone of the foundation a little boost. So then we take our little short handled brush, and this really does kind of make you rethink, like, is the length of a handle important? Let me know in the comments section, like, would it throw you to use a little shorter brush? For me, I feel like I got a lot of control here, actually. Getting it all blended in. That LA Colors foundation actually has some really nice coverage. The bronzing drops just deepen it slightly and do add a gentle glow to an otherwise matte foundation. I can't believe Rhett is turning 6 tomorrow. I'm shooting this on Tuesday. By the time this goes up, you could say he turned 6 yesterday. I'm not usually one who's like, I can't believe he's the age he is, but right now I am finding myself thinking, there's no way he's really that old, right? Okay, so this did a fantastic job blending it in. It does the exact same job that the full size would do. I think that's a really good brush to have in this mini collection. Moving on to concealer. Here's what they put in for concealer, gang. It's this little, like, square-shaped brush. I seem to remember having kind of a quirky Real Techniques set where they did include a square-shaped concealer brush. It's dense. It does have a little movement to the bristles, so it can kind of work the concealer around a little bit, but they have to put mini on everything here, so it's the mini small concealer brush. Otherwise, I guess it was just the small concealer brush. The number on that is the 257. So we're gonna work with this. I don't love this as a concealer brush. I need something about twice that size, I feel like, to really do the work I need it to do, but in combination with the Expert Face brush, we definitely can make it work. I'm pulling out my light peach shade of my e.l.f. Camo Concealer. Original recipe here. By the way, I had wings from KFC over the weekend and they were amazing. They were like crispy. Oh, so good. Okay, I'm using very small amounts of this concealer because I feel it's very potent. And then I'm taking my little oddly square-shaped brush. Like, I don't know. I don't know why they found a square shape to be necessary. Like, couldn't we just throw in a nice little domed but slightly more dense brush? But we're just gonna work with what Real Techniques gave us. When I chose to get this kit, I will admit I did not go through and analyze every single brush. I looked at the set as a whole and I thought that looks promising and something I'd definitely like to review. So whether the result is good or bad, it's still information I'm able to give you, so I don't ever really feel like it's a loss, you know? But there are some things that I might have done differently if I were the designer of it all. Okay, see how like I'm blending? I'm just making my concealer take up more space, but it's like such a small brush. Even though I did tiny dots of concealer, I feel like it's kind of getting overwhelmed by the product, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of rubbing off some excess here. And then I'm gonna be going in with this Expert Face brush because we really need it to be able to fully blend. Totally like go over some surface area and get it going. Thank goodness for the Expert Face brush. I mean, maybe this would be good over like a little pinpointed blemish, you know, where you kind of have to build up that product on one very precise spot, but I just don't find that shape and size to be extremely useful. Moving on to powder. Here's a situation where we really don't have a lot for this. Like we do have the setting brush. Okay, they gave us a setting brush. It doesn't look too far off from my setting brush that I broke the bottom off of. But yeah, this we can confirm is the original sized brush head, same cut, same density it feels like. But yeah, this is your setting brush. What I'm usually using my setting brush for day in and day out would be a powder highlighter. But with this set, you can see we got all our eye brushes up here. We got one thing left down here for face. They don't account for powder really in any way. There's no brush here that I feel like I could use for powder bronzer or powder blush. This, we could really go back to maybe the roots of what this brush was made for and use it with some under eye setting powder today. But what are we going to use for like a powder bronzer or a powder blush? Why was there not some kind of multitasking powder brush put into this set? That's the main place where this set loses me a little bit. But like I said, we can use the setting brush in a couple different ways. You can use it for some powder highlighter, and we can use it just with a setting powder on the under eye. I'm going to use my Maybelline Fit Me in Fair. Get into my powder here. I feel like when I first started setting the under eye area, this was a brush I was reaching for. See, it can do that job well, no problem. It can set around our T-zone. I mean, but is this little guy going to be what's responsible for all over face powder if you wanted to do that? It's just so little. It's doing perfectly up on the under eye. And again, when there's a brush set put out, I like to operate on the assumption that that might be all you're working with. You know, you got this as a full face kind of brush set, but really what it might be are just some little supplements, just given the few holes that are in this set. I've set under eye very nicely. I want to be set in other areas of the face, but I just feel like this is such a small brush. Like, look, I'm going over my cheek. But we have no other powdered brush option. So you may be saying, Em, what is that final face brush that's left down there in the bottom row? And it's a chunky little brush. It's the mini flat contour brush. So this is about the size of like the Expert Face brush, but as you can see, it's a blunt cut there. It's not tapered down the sides, and this is really good. This gives you a lot of precision for like blending out a cream contour. It's not really something I'd use with powder, given how dense it is. I think you would run into some blending issues there. The funny thing is this one could multitask pretty well for you to blend out a cream contour or maybe a cream blush. It's powder where we're falling through a bit. But since they do call this a contour brush, I'm going to use it with some contour today so you can see that blending it in, it'll do a good job with a cream contour. Today I'm going to swipe on the Rimmel Multitasker Stick. This is in the shade Tan. And I love the way it swipes on. It's pigmented. Oops, I got some hairs up there in that swipe. It looks like it's going to be fairly dark and rich, but it's so blendable. I love it. And then I'm taking this brush, dense little buffing style brush, and blend this right up into my hairline. Look at how this angle like gets in here so well too. Completely fits that zone right there to enhance the cheekbone. Maybe they didn't feel like they could do a powder brush that was small enough, but I really think they could have. I think they could have included a brush designated for just face powder or powder blush, make it about the size of a standard blush brush, and that could multitask for any face powder needs. They could have done that. They could have frankly taken out the eyelash curler and put in that. Sometimes I feel like a really fun task in my life would be if a brand sent something my way. Not that I'm the be-all end-all opinion, not that I have all the right opinions, but I do have opinions. It would be so cool if sometimes I would get sent something before it actually launched and I could just like give a tidbit of input as someone who's seen a lot of stuff, reviewed a lot of products, you know? That would be fun. I mean, it's kind of a fantasy job, I think, but that would be fun. But here that is all blended in. I had no problems working with this brush, getting that all blended. Absolutely fine. But here's the thing. If you want to go over that with a powder bronzer, let's say, not saying you have to, but if you wanted to, I don't know what you're going to be using from this set to actually pull that off. This Expert Face Brush, it's not something that's going to multitask you through all your powders. It's really too dense for that. What we can do is use the Expert Face Brush maybe on a cream or liquid blush, and I can show you how that can work. I'm going to use my Say Dew Blush. This is in the shade Baby. It's their light cool pink color from the holiday set. And I'm going to use the Expert Face Brush to blend that in. So this was what we used to blend our foundation. And again, a possible drugstore alternative here to a Sephora 56, the closest thing that I've got that makes me think of that nice compact, yet you still want some movement to the bristles. This is doing great. And then if we're going into highlight, this is my original and daily use for the Real Techniques setting brush that I already have. So we can easily pull in some highlight today. You know what I'm feeling like? A little Laura Geller baked French vanilla. My French vanilla is within this little like highlighting quad that I have. It's right down here. French vanilla is a super subtle kind of brightening highlight. And I'm just blending that in on the tops of my cheeks. I might add in one of the glowy shades too. I think this is Portofino right up here. Little bit of shine. Only right where you want it, you know? Dab around, dust off excess, blend it in. Alrighty friends, we've got a couple little things here. Little things where brows are concerned. We've got the mini definer brush. So it's a little angled brush. It has a slight bit of thickness to it, but it could totally work as eyeliner or brows. And then we also have the mini spoolie brush. Again, these are really feeling like full-size brush heads, just shorter handles. And what I think I'm gonna do today is, I have this Dip Brow Pomade from ABH in medium brown. And I'm thinking, let's use a little bit of that with this angled brush and the spoolie as well, and just kind of create a brow using this kit. I haven't used my dip brow in a while, so hopefully I'm not too heavy-handed, but I just lightly dipped into the pot. I'm starting at the most dense place in my brow so I don't overload. Like I can kind of start there, I can blend it into the tail of the brow, and I can more gently work it inward. That's my tip on any brow product you have that feels a little potent. Yeah, like that was a tiny bit just put through that one brow. Just a little dip in. But no complaints on this little angled brush. Like, it's doing absolutely anything any other angled brush would do. No complaints. Your challenge might be if you're traveling with this, like, don't lose it. It's tiny. I think I'm going to be more affected by the short handle length once we get into some of these eye steps. Because on a full-size eye brush, I think I hold out a little bit further. Of course, this left brow is making me work. Just need a little more up in here on this brow, always. It's a hard place to fill, going a little bit above, but I've learned that's what looks best. Okay, are we there? And then yeah, we do have a little spoolie. Spoolie's helpful. Okay, I'll take a spoolie. And then I will also take a brow gel for some added hold. This is Morphe Micro Manager. Oh, by the way, I had talked in the past about the nano brow pencils. I had one from Morphe and one from CoverGirl, and I'm like, I guess I would just continue to go with the one from Morphe because it's the cheaper one, because they're basically the same in their function. But actually, I've noticed the price is lower on the CoverGirl one now. It used to be right around $10, and I noticed it was selling at Walmart for $8, so I restocked that. I'll pop out our remaining 3 brushes. Keep in mind, we also do have that lash curler we can try. But these are our eye brushes. Mini domed shadow brush, which honestly, this might have been better for concealer. Like, it's just a little more full, and I like the shape a little bit better. But I mean, we're gonna have to work it in for eyeshadow, I think, just given our limited amount here. We have a mini smudge brush. I know that would be absolutely fine on the lower lash line. Mini base shadow brush. Here it looks like an absolutely miniature setting brush. It's pinched in at the top, so you have a little bit of width to it, but it's got that point to the taper, which makes it not really what you're maybe used to in your crease, but I think it's gonna have to be crease and maybe lay something down on the lid. This one being so chunky, so dense. Again, I always complain about this with brush sets, and this is no exception, but can't they give us something that at least tries to be more flat? This one, you know, I get it, but like something that could really pack on, because this, I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but we're going to find out. Here's what we're going to work with today. One of these other tones of the LA Colors quad. This is the one called Queen's Desire. So I used the one called Fashionista in the video where I had like new drugstore products. These are $1.25 quads that I found at Dollar Tree. This is the one we're going to use today. How am I going to approach this with these brushes? It's going to have to start with this one, the one called Mini Base Shadow Brush, and this shade right here, this deepest brown. I'm going to dip into it. I'm going to just start applying that on the outer part of my lid and also into the crease. It's going to give us a little something. Like, the shadow's good enough, I think, but this just isn't the type of brush I'd be working with here. But it can blend a little. It's got enough movement in those bristles to be able to do some blending. I really just think they put this brush in there as kind of a catch-all, you know, like it'll do all the steps maybe. Mini domed shadow brush, like, you're so stiff. Are you going to help me blend? Like, are you going to highlight? The jobs for that one are going to be minimal, but maybe it could have made a better concealer brush. Do I need a little more? Just going to go off the tip of this brush now and see if I can target shadow more. I'm really not too bothered by the short handle. Hold out toward the tip and it doesn't feel like it's that short. Okay, I'm gonna clean that off. I'm gonna go to this little kind of peachy shade here. I don't know if you just heard my stomach growl, but it definitely did. Okay, I'm using this like I would a flat brush. It's not giving me all the pressure I want, but fortunately the shadow is being compliant and laying down somewhat for me. Look at, I'm sweeping, I'm doing a little sweeping motion. There we go. Like, this is not going to be a complex eye look, just because it really can't be. I've got those 2 shades on. My other shades are just kind of like additional shimmery options in this one. What I could do is take my smudge brush, go into that dark brown, get some of this on that lower lash line. Excellent little smudge brush. Perfectly doing the job it has been assigned to do. Good little thickness to it, you know, you need a little bit of that in there. And we also do have access to that angled brush that we used in our brows. That could come in like eyeliner. I don't feel like this shade is making the best eyeliner, but that's not really the fault of the brush. That shade is just not going to pack quite enough of a punch in that way, but just so you know, you do have a brush that can function for liner. I am going to go in with an actual eyeliner because I may be doing a short video today involving lashes. So I'm going to do that. I've been enjoying this new one from Profusion, this little Seamless Strokes Precision Gel Liner. It's the one called Dark Roast. I'm going to do that on my upper lash line. Then we'll talk about that little lash curler, okay? I've lined my upper lash line, that's all I've done. And then, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this little style of like a travel eyelash curler, but there's a little thing that comes down on the back, and when you squish down, that's gonna curl your lashes. I'm hoping for the best here. You can feel the top part of it go against your lash line. That's how you kind of know you've lined it up right. My lashes do not want to offer any curl of their own, so I'm always at the mercy of my lash curler. I'm hoping this works. Maybe I'll find a new love with this. Is this going to beat Shiseido? I don't see You guys, I'm not seeing any curl. Like right after I use my Shiseido lash curler, even though my lashes aren't thick, I can tell that they have been curled. I'm almost scared I'm gonna rip everything out. I'm pressing so hard, I'm probably about to snap the thing. I'm looking up at my lashes and I'm comparing them to the non-curled ones. The problem will be if I start putting mascara on and I'm seeing that they have no curl, that really messes up my look for the day, you know? I don't love to have to go back on top of lashes and add curl, although I do it, but I don't love to have to do that. I'm gonna go to my regular lash curler, guys. I'm sorry. Here's the problem. The thing right here, the rubbery thing, I don't think it's nearly as squishy as the one in my Shiseido lash curler. Yeah, there's tons of squish there, and my lashes need to absolutely be squished into that soft pad to be able to get a curl going, and here it's like it just can't take me there. It might be better for people whose lashes just need a little encouragement rather than absolutely being clenched. I'll finish up, I'll be back. Here's my finished look. So I curled my lashes with my usual Comfort lash curler that I need to use my Shiseido. My lashes just needed that. And it's crazy because after I used the Shiseido, I was looking at how they really look right after the curler, and those things are pointing straight up, if not a little bit back. Like they are so curled after that, and I need that. So I used my Too Faced Ribbon Wrapped on the upper lashes and the e.l.f. lash extender on the lower lashes. I did feel like my face needed some all over powder, more than what, bless its heart, the little setting brush could do all over my entire face. So I just used a little cloud set in Breezy all over lightly, and it just kind of helped the feel of everything. And then after that I was like, well, now I need more blush. So I used Laura Geller's Pink Buttercream. That's that one, and I've got that on now. Any excuse for a little more blush. And then my lips, it was kind of a roundabout thing. Like I didn't really need to do the stain because the color of this ended up being a little bright for my whole look today, like my shirt and stuff. But I used the sheer tint from e.l.f. Sheer For It blush tint in Left on Red. That was a little bright for me, but I ended up adding some liner, one of my favorite lip liners, the Catrice Plumping Liner in Cheers to Life. It's not really plumping, but it's super long wear. And then even after that, I was like, no, this color still doesn't make sense with what I'm wearing. I needed some brown on top, so I used this e.l.f. Plumping Glow Reviver Lip Oil in Espresso Tonic. And that got things a little more earthy looking on my lips. We were able to execute a lot of steps of the look with this little set. So I'm not ragging on the set totally, because I think there are some really good finds in here. I like the Mini Expert face brush. I like the chunky little like contouring brush. Anybody can use a setting brush. Like I said, it can set your under eyes, T-zone. For me, that kind of brush is always doing my highlighter. The eye brushes, it was really kind of a disappointing spread of eye brushes, I thought. Was I able to execute a super basic look using primarily this? Like this little guy was the MVP. But this brush, I think would function better than this brush for concealer, so I might make that swap. Or maybe just use this one if you have like a real pinpointed blemish to cover, but use this one elsewhere for other concealer steps. I just didn't find that useful on the eyes. These little brushes were good though. The compact ones for a liner, for a smudger, the spoolie was fine. And don't forget they do give you this little like amber colored zipper pouch. So I think the takeaway here is that it could technically execute a full face if you need it to. Did we get an eye look done? Yes, we did. Did we get the face steps on even though we would have liked to have had, you know, a powder brush or a brush that could multitask on blush and powder bronzer, just face powder in general? That would have been nice, but we still were able to execute a face. To me, it's just still missing some things. If you were gonna get this set, maybe you got a little makeup beginner in your life and you're like, I wanna supply them with a nice little affordable brush set. I just put it all back here in the box. $18.99 is a pretty fair price. Real Techniques quality is good. You're getting a lot here, but also give them an e.l.f. blush brush maybe, because really this could do more than just blush. This could bronze and do face powder. Another brush e.l.f. makes that's fairly multifunctional. It says highlighting on the brush, but it's rather full, and like this can do full face powder. This could bronze too. So you just need to think about supplying that person with something that could be somewhat of a powder multitasker, and maybe a Morphe M303 as well. Just that would make things a lot easier here. That one brush that was like doing the whole job on around the eyes, that can blend okay, and can get some things going in the crease, but you need something that can kind of set it down on the lid, because this little LA Color Squad that I used, we didn't quite do justice to this one with the application by way of these brushes, but I think if we had a flat brush worked in there, you would have seen more out of the deepest shade. You maybe would have been able to see another shimmer in action there, but not a bad set. The mini handles, I say go with it, Real Techniques. You're doing a good thing there. Just have a few missing pieces, or we could have like lost that curler and thrown in like one more brush that could have multitasked for powder. And if we're really being picky and choosy here, you know, put that brush down here, lose the square shape, and throw in a flat brush where that was. That would make it so good. But you could supplement if you're giving that as a gift and just add in those couple other things, and a person would have a really usable, really nice brush set. Real Techniques does good quality. They've got good cuts of the brushes, and I think they were being honest with us when they said full-size brush heads, mini handles, because I did have a couple random full-size brushes that really were that size. So there you go, my friends. I hope this was useful. Thank you so much for your time. As always, I appreciate you, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.